Chapter 2. Dear Baba. Greetings from England and dry land. And what a journey it was, Baba. With that mighty sea constantly slapping against the ship and spraying the deck with salty water. There were many days when we saw no land at all and other ships, just dolphins and flying fish, and once a group of sharks attacked our dolphin friends, turning the water red. Occasionally, we passed another ship and our captain would blare his horn loudly, saluting the vessel while we waved, but usually it was just us and that endless, frightening sea. The waters were particularly rough when we entered the Gulf of Guinea, and the notorious Guinea current. They were also rough in the run-up to the Bay of Biscay, but the worst was entering the Mersey estuary from the Irish Sea. From a distance, the Irish Sea was cloaked in fog so that we could not see the rough, heaving waves that are legendary among mariners. Mind you, this was the only time when one succumbed to seasickness, and everyone suffered from motion sickness. That day, on board the ship, I made friends with two students, Mr. Lekanolajide from Ogbomoso and Mr. Ibrahim Muhammad from Kaduna. The three of us were well received by the captain, and even invited to the first-class cabin, where the British Broadcasting Corporation was making a film about Nigeria. Perhaps we are already famous. Sadly, Mr. Olajide and Mr. Muhammad were not Oxford-bound, but we have exchanged addresses, and in this way are very main in touch. The boat made several stops along the Zvaya Takoradi, Monrovia, Freetown, and the lovely Las Palmas. Once in Liverpool, they tugged us into the harbour and I travelled to London, and then up to Oxford where I am now in my college rooms. My first 2 weeks at Oxford have been busy and filled with invitations of all sorts. Yesterday, I had tea with my moral tutor and sherry with the master. Today, it was a new members' drinks party at the West African Society, and chapel was followed by sherry in the old senior common room. I have also been introduced to a British Army colonel, a brigadier, and a lord who dined in college. King Olav's son, from Norway, is a student here at Balliol, too. As you can see, there are many important persons at Oxford, which is part of what makes it such an impressive institution. In other ways, though, Oxford is not as I expected. The sun sets by 5:30 p.m. and I'm told that it will set even earlier in the months to come. This, and their fact that darkness descends so slowly, are so strange for me. The people can be a little strange, too, and on the whole, not terribly friendly. I have come to the conclusion that because the English are a minority in Nigeria, they are obliged to be cordial in our country, whereas their true temperament is somewhat cold, much like their weather. You will also be surprised to discover that in this country, people do not greet each other in passing, not even Balliol men. In fact, many Balliol men do not look very distinguished at all. Some sport long hair, and bailing is not a daily occurrence on account of the cold. Their tutors look more distinguished, but many are surprisingly ignorant about Africa. I am grateful to Headmaster Fairclough for his letter of introduction, to Professor Edward Barker and his wife, Isabella, who have invited me to lunch next week. I am also excited to report that I have met 3 other Nigerians at their Univ9 city, Mr. Ikenwandi, who is reading history, Mr. Bolaji Oladipo, reading Lord Magdalene, and Christina Rins, who reads modern languages at St. Hilda's. We live and study in the colleges and each has its own library and tutors. I am also friendly with Percy, my scout. He is the man who cleans my room every day, and has been most helpful in explaining their origin and meaning of certain English customs. Can you believe that he addresses me as sir? Life is different here, but a great adventure. I intend to join the college football and table tennis teams, and also the West African Students' Society. I will, however, devote most of my hours to reading, starting with Kant and de Tocqueville, as well as many other notable scholars. For my tutorials, I wait anxiously for news from home, and for some letters. My greetings to everyone, and please tell Mama that her food has served me well. I have made several friends by sharing it with chaps on my staircase. English food, with the exception of custard, like ogre, is not too appetizing. Please greet Auntie Ameh, Uncle Tund, Auntie Titula, Auntie Mary, Uncle Keode, Uncle Joseph, Brother Ameh, Brother Taupe, Sister Bissy, Sister Kenzie, Sister Fatima, and all the family. Yours truly, Omoteo. P.S. As nay colleagues find it difficult to pronounce my name, I am now known as T, for short. Dear son, we received your letter, dated 27th October, 2 weeks hence. We are delighted to know that you arrived safely and in good health. Praise God. It was most interesting to hear of your experiences in Oxford, and I have informed colleagues at work about your meeting with King Olaf, the Lords, and the Army Generals. They are duly impressed. In your next letter, you will please apprise me of the precise names of these gentlemen so that I can provide complete statistics to colleagues and Uncle Keode. We are all well here. Thanks be to God. Bissy received highest bonus for geography, and be made school prefect. So you see, the Ajayi family continue to excel in their studies. Marvelous. We are looking to you now to make us even more proud. Meanwhile, things in Nigeria are running splendidly. The independence celebrations, 3 years of independence now, were quite fantastic. In short, there were many fireworks, dancing, eating, and general gaiety. We were proud, and now the government is working for increased Nigerian leadership. Indigenous responsibility is what we call it. Has it that a Nigerian will soon replace our chief of police, and we hope so, God willing. And yet some white men here are still thinking they own our land, not acknowledging that it is a new Nigeria. In short, to keep you informed, I send you forthwith these articles from the New Nigerian and the Daily Times newspapers. I have underlined, for your benefit, their important points. Your mother is preparing her trip to Mecca. She informs me that she will offer special prayers for you when she arrives, and that upon her return, she will dispatch henceforth to you some additional provisions. In short, she would like to know how much to send for your esteemed colleagues. It is most encouraging to hear your news. Write again immediately upon receipt of this letter. Read your books, and always remember that you are an Ajayi man. Don't forget the AE motto, in all things moderation, with exception of study. God bless you. Your father, Inspector, Mr. Adonai Ajayi.